If anybody is in webinar land, can you please tell me? Oh, Melissa! No? Oh, no, that's private. Let me see if I can see. If you guys are there. Let me see if I can see. Is anybody up there? I think I can see a few of you are logged on. Let me know in the chat box if you can see me. I'm coming to you from a different kitchen tonight. It might look a bit different to when you've seen me on Facebook Live and taking photos and stuff in my kitchen. I'm actually at my parents' house, getting my little guys looked after because I was just absolutely petrified of doing this webinar and someone coming up to me saying, "Mama, I can't sleep," or "I want to eat your meatloaf," or something else. So I thought best to do it here where the kids can be wrangled. But if at any point you guys need to jump off because, you know, life's happening, feel free to do that. I will send on an email with the link to this chat. But if anybody can see me, I can't see anything here in the chat box. If you can see me, could you let me know? Because this is my first one and I'm really hoping it works, and also too, a little bit nervous. Philippa says I can't get in. Philippa, can you see me talking? If anybody else is there and can see me talking, can you let me know? That would be great. I'm not going to start yet until I can see that people are here and saying hi, because I'd hate for it not to be working. Elizabeth, evening. Kerry, I'm unable to view the video. Kerry, can you hear me? If you are here, please say hi in the chat box and tell me where you're from as well. I'm ringing in from the Central Coast tonight in my mum and dad's kitchen. So that's where I am, rather than in the inner city of Sydney where I usually am. Just get a click on this and just see if I can see people. You can see that there's 25 people here. So if you can see me, let me know. Okay, I'm just getting a message that some people can't see me on video. Erin, you can see me? Yay! Rachel can't see me. We're just getting, I've got Melissa, you might see her in the chat box there. She's just giving me a hand with this as well. So stay tuned. I had to click on the link, watch this video on YouTube, to be able to see you. It opens in a new window. Ooh. Okay. That was a really good tip there. If you guys can't get in, we had to click on watch this video on YouTube to be able to see you. It opens in a new window. If you guys can let me know if you can see me. Okay, I can see here that you need to do the YouTube click. I tried to, but it doesn't be anywhere. I'm just going to say, guys, that we are trying to get it to work. Okay. Ingrid, thank you. You can see and hear me. Do I look about 20 years older than last time you saw and heard me? Because I think I have absolutely just aged in that 10 minutes. Guys, I can see that there's a bunch of you on this call. Can you please let me know in the chat box if you can see me, if you can hear me? That would be so helpful, because I don't want to show you all this great stuff if you can't see me. So let me know if it works. I'm just going to type that in. Let me know in the chat box if you can see me. That would be great. Yippee! Okay, it looks like we're getting through a bunch of people now. The link worked. Yes! Okay. I wonder if we can just, I'm just going to type it again, click this link if you can't see me, and then we're going to get started. Okay. It looks like a lot of you can see me in YouTube and not in webinar jam, which is really annoying, but if you can see me, okay, so Mel, thank you so much for writing that down. She said, I can see and hear you on YouTube, but you have to click back to message me. That's great. So everybody click on that, and let's get started. So tonight, I literally want you guys to cook along with me. Oh, Lindy, you can see and hear me. Thank you so much. I want to cook for you guys along together a chicken meatloaf that's wrapped in bacon. Now, I am going to scoot over and show you exactly what it looks like so that you know what's coming. Cue the most delicious looking chicken and bacon meatloaf. I haven't crisped this up on top yet, but I'm going to later on. You can see the size of this meal. Just pop that back. That's going to do us for 3 nights. Okay, everybody's watching me there. Thank you so much. Guys, say hi in the chat box and where you're from as well. It's always really nice to see where you guys are from. And just a little bit of admin. If I'm starting to look pixelated, it's not just because I'm knackered. It is because there might be a little bit of lag going on. But also just disconnect Facebook and anything else that you've got running at the moment, because it will just eat up the bandwidth. So make sure that the kiddies aren't out there on YouTube or something either, because it could be, yeah, going there. But let's get cooking. To make this meatloaf is really, really simple. If you have a food processor or a blender, you want to grab it now. I'm cooking, you can see here, this isn't my kitchen. This is my parents' kitchen, because I needed them to look after the kids tonight because I didn't want them to come in and interrupt us. So I didn't have a blender, but what my mum does have is a grater. So I'm going to use that. And all you do is, with all the vegetable ingredients, you start either just chopping them into chunks, and they could go straight into your food processor. But for me, that's using this grater function, it's just going to go in there. The great thing about doing this, and why I do it with this meatloaf, is because if your kids only want to eat the meatloaf and don't want to eat the veg that we're going to serve on the side of it, then you don't really feel that bad, because look at how much veggies we've got in there. I'm just chopping them up now, so guys, feel free to do that along with me. I've got a capsicum here that I've washed everything beforehand, but I'm just doing it really, really rough because my grating will take care of all that. And then some carrots as well. I've washed these, but I'll probably just take just the top of them off, leave the bottom on, doesn't really matter, and I'm going to grate from there. I'm going to grate straight into a bowl that I have that 1 kilo of chicken mince in as well, just because let's save some bowls. You know, when we're cooking this way, we're all about convenience, and in saying that, my bowl's not going to fit underneath, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'll put in my other one. And I'm going to turn this on. Pretty cool little thing, hey? And start putting my carrots. It definitely doesn't sound like some of you lucky mamas that have Thermomixes. That was quite a sad little noise, but it's doing the job. I'm going to go into the onions as well. Those ones are a little bit harder. I'm just going to pull this off and give it a little bit of a clean out. But in a food processor, you're basically trying to go for the same, probably even a little bit thinner. Let's get this back on. Coarsely ground that you can. The reason you want to go for about this size is because when it starts to cook with the chicken, and the spices, it's actually the colour of the capsicum, make sure I do this as I talk, is actually going to bleed into it. So you'll get a really nice red colour that the kids probably won't know is actually the veggies. Okay. A little bit more of the capsicum. Because I'm doing this by hand, because I don't have my food processor, there's also a really large handful of baby spinach leaves. So I'm just going to really coarsely chop them on up. The great thing about using baby spinach leaves is they're actually really not, like, they've got a little bit of flavour, but for little mouths, it's a really great green veggie to start on. And this morning you might have caught on my Facebook page, and I put it on my Instagram stories as well, I had brekkie with the guys this morning, my little boys, and I put some baby spinach on the side of their eggs that they were eating, and also their beans and stuff. And I said, oh look, they're little eucalyptus leaves like the koalas eat. They both had about 5 little plates of them because they're not really strong in flavour, and they look, you know, like a whole heap of fun. So I've got those, and I've just remembered that I needed some garlic as well. I'm watching you live cook with the replay after. How much quicker the Thermomix would be. I wanted to show you guys, you know, this way. I don't cook this way at home. I'm in mum and dad's kitchen, and just showing you that I guess, you know, even wherever you are, you can cook this way, which is always really nice to know. I'm just going to roughly chop it, and there's 3 of those. I'm just going to grab this other big one that's equivalent to 2, and then it speeds up a whole heap. I should caveat too, guys, while I'm doing this, because you guys are all probably lucky ducks that have got the blender and you're like, Stace, come on, like, it's here, it's ready to go. Go and turn your oven on to 180 just to preheat. That's the temperature that we want the meatloaf to go in at. And then it goes there. So that is all the veggies into this bowl. Again, you can kind of see here, if you look at it half and half, you're nearly talking half this meatloaf is actually vegetables. So when you fear, you know, are the kids eating everything, they're not eating the sides, you know, you can choose the sides that you put with it, but, you know, we have those fears, and at least we know that there is some really great vegetables going in. The next thing you want to do is you want to put in your binder. I just do that with eggs, but I make this a lot, and you've probably seen me talking about that my littlest boy has an intolerance, he's not allergic, to eggs at the moment, and we're just pulling him off it for a few months just to try and clear up his eczema. So if you use 2 chia eggs in place of the normal eggs, it works perfectly. And then you're going to go in with your spices. So you've got a tablespoon of dried thyme and a tablespoon of smoked paprika. We love smoked paprika because it gives a really smoky flavour. It works so well with the bacon, and it's just a really nice spice. I'm sure you guys are smelling it now. Smoked paprika is very different to sweet paprika. The sweet one is lovely too, but you'll get a much better flavour with a smoked paprika. And then the next thing that goes in is the quinoa flakes. I wrote in the recipe, you might have seen there, guys, that you could choose between what you had in the cupboard. And I have to caveat that that is how I cook. And in the 4-week meal plan that I will tell you guys about at the end, and you can ask me any questions you've got on it, I encourage that so much that when I give you the shopping list, go and see what you've got in the pantry, because if you have breadcrumbs, they're going to work perfect. If you've got some oats, they'll work good too. Almond meal, they'll work great. And you kind of, this gets you around too, that if you're catering for any intolerances, that you can just, you know, put in what works for you. So I want this to go to school for my guys, so I'm not going to put nuts in. But if I was having it for me, I probably would, because it's just going to fill me up a bit more. And then we're just combining it. So in goes the chicken, and you give it a bit of a squash around. Now I'm going to do that with my hands once I've shown you how we're going to do the bacon, and maybe this is how I can make up for time with my funny chopping that just seems to take forever. You line your baking tin with some baking paper, and then what you do is you're basically putting out the bacon into the slices. When you're cooking bacon, and you guys know it as well as I do, that it will start to contract. So it might look like a lot that you've got there, but it will, you know, turn over and be really, you know, it will start shrinking up. So don't worry about overlapping it, and just do it the whole way. I'm just going to turn on my oven. There we go. And then in goes this meat mix. So this is the kind of one you get your hands dirty with. I find I will often get my kids doing this with me. The one that I just showed you just before, and I'll show it to you again in a minute, I had my little guys help me the whole way along. And I really find that that is such a great tip for getting them to eat the food. You know, you can talk to them about when you're at the shops, you know, what could we make this into? When they get home, let's put it away. Are you excited to make the meatloaf with Mama this afternoon? I understand my kids are young and that doesn't, you know, work always for teenagers, but you can find your way with that, and you can talk to them about, you know, at their level of why you want to cook this way, because I really want you to have some really yummy food that's delicious, and this is going to give you so much energy for the day, and it's got really nice, you know, flavors in it. So let's cook that way. You can see here, guys, I've just pushed it all together, and it's gone that really lovely red color that you would have seen in some of the pictures. That's the smoked paprika that's done that. And now you're just putting it straight into your tin. You've got to be really kind of rough with this one to make sure, see here that I'm like really pushing it down to make sure there's no air bubbles with it, because you just want it to be perfect. And if you've got a few little bits of bacon that are coming out the side of it, then just flick them over, just like that, and push it down. Now, if you're like me and works better in the morning, I'm just washing my hands behind you guys, so pardon the noise. You could absolutely make this up in the morning, and that stuff that in the meal plan course I really encourage and actually motivate you guys to do. You'll find that I'll be emailing you saying, hey, what are you up to? You know, on Facebook, on our Facebook group, I'll be saying, guys, you know, go into the kitchen and get it done, because you can literally put that in the fridge as is, and you can cook it when you get home, say from work that night. You could cook this on a Sunday, and like anything that's got beautiful spices in it and lots of meat, it's going to taste brilliant, you know, the next day. I usually get 3 to 4 days out of this, and as you can see, it is huge. Like, that is going to feed us all for 3 to 4 days. I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to put it in the oven with what I'm actually going to cook with it, which is some mashed potato and veggies. Sort of bringing back, you know, meat and 3 veg done in a way for us mamas that we can make it in bulk, you know, and not have to worry about, you know, cooking steak and cooking chicken and all that stuff at night. I often will put the potatoes whole straight in the oven, and I'll show you how they come out. The reason I do that is because this goes in for half an hour, so 30 minutes at 180, and then that's about how long it takes for a potato to steam in the oven. You just stick your knife in and it'll cook at the same time. You could do that if potatoes aren't your thing. Do it with sweet potato. I've done it with beetroots. My little guys really love the beetroots, I think, because they're so sweet. But any kind of root vegetable would be brilliant. You could even put in an eggplant. Any of that stuff is going to work beautifully with this Mediterranean flavour of the sweet paprika. And now I'll show you how it comes out. Here is the potatoes. I'm going to come back in a minute with the meat. But look at how soft. These have just been in for the half an hour that they cooked. Like, they're beautiful and soft. So you can make those now into, just grab my bowl, into mashed potato. You could also serve them on the side, just like this. You could cut them in half after a while and crisp them up while we crisp up that the meatloaf, and I'm going to show you how we crisp it up in a minute. I often will put the skins in as well. I find that just works really yummy. I love the skin in it, but you can choose, you know, with what you're doing, how you want that to be. Just gonna grab the other ones. Here they are here. So these are some bigger ones. I've said for a family of 4, I do about 6. The reason I do 6 is because then, you know, tomorrow morning I can have mashed potato with a runny egg on top, or kids can take it for lunch. But you guys can alter this, you know, however you please. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to put in some fat here. Look, it's all gelatinous. I love all of this. As you know, I love bone broth. What this mixture is here is when I flipped the meatloaf, I'm going to show you guys how to do that in a minute, I basically just pulled off all of the liquid because it's delicious and I didn't want to waste it. And you can use that in your mashed potato. I just do it like this, with a little bit of, just clean that off, butter, and I'll mash it together. Just gonna grab a fork. The other thing that I would really recommend that you put through your mashed potato is you might want to put a little bit of milk in it. I tend to stay away from the milk. I love to put some grated cheese in it, and I'm just about to do that. And I like to put in some extra broth as well, just so that we're getting in as much of that gut healing great liquid that we can. And the other thing that I actually put through it is frozen peas, straight as is, straight in. I would do here. No need, oh my gosh. I need to take another taste of that. I haven't even salt and peppered it, but it is so good because of this liquid that you've saved from your meatloaf. So make sure that you put it in there so that you get that amazing, amazing taste. And then I also serve it with some greens. I've got some greens here, some broccoli and some green beans. It's absolutely up to you guys what you serve it with the mashed potatoes. So your family might really love sugar snap peas and cucumbers. I don't know, put it on. Cherry tomatoes. It's just important that you kind of work with the kids, and whatever they are going to eat, then encourage them to eat that again and try it again. That's what I do in my family. You know, my guys would never sit there with a raw carrot and a celery stick dipping it in hummus. I dream of those days, but I'm super honest, mine don't. But they'll eat snow peas and they'll eat avocado with a spoon. So those kind of things, you know, that's just what I serve for us at dinner. I'll still put the things that I like to eat, which is everything, on the table so that I'm trying to show them how they could eat. But I'm just conscious of, you know, trying to get some good stuff into them as well. I'm going to show you now the meatloaf, and then we'll get on to how we tweak it into the other meals. Have you guys, can you let me know in the chat box, have you put everything into the oven? Did it all work for you? Let me know. Oh my. Oh, this turned out so well. Oh, look at this, guys. Look at how delicious and crispy that is. Look at the topping of it. Oh my gosh. So, yay! Are those potatoes not too hot? Mine, I've had them cooling for a little bit, so mine weren't too hot, but absolutely, if you just pulled those out of the oven and you were doing it with your hands, you were a chef. and I'm not a chef, I'm a mama, so my hands would have needed to be protected, but they were a little bit soft. So in that goes with there. What I would also do is if you've got a little bit of the bacon fat. Now, I buy a really good bacon, and I find that it doesn't have a lot of water in it when they've actually cured it. So it doesn't tend to, you know, sweat too much. There's a little bit of fat, but it doesn't get a lot of water like many can. So, but if you did have some bacon fat, feel free to put that into your potatoes. It's going to taste amazing. Now you want this to go for 3 nights. This will be my big tip for you guys here. Just make sure you can see me really well. Is divide it now into 3. Why? Because this tastes so good and your husband might just go back while you're putting the kids in bed and eat it all. I'm telling you that because I really like you, and I have a husband that has done that before, and I'm like, oh, that was dinner for the next 2 nights. What are you doing? I don't want you to end up in that same spot. So I just grab out a plate, and I will use my hands, move it over. But look at that. How good does that look? If you think your littlies are going to have a pickle because you can see the greens, chop them smaller. You know, especially if you didn't do it the way that I had to and you could put it in your Thermomix or any of those things, you can, you'd be able to make them a whole heap smaller, which would be great. I haven't seen anyone in the chat, guys. Can you go back to your other page? I know, it's so frustrating. And just let me know, did it go in the oven okay? I just want to know that you can all hear me and that you're cooking along. So I'm just going to leave this one aside. So this is meal 1 that we're having with mashed potato, that we've used all of the juices from the pan when I made this meatloaf. I realised though I didn't tell you guys how to get the meatloaf out. All you do is if you push it out onto this pan, and you'd pull off the baking paper because there was baking paper lining it, and then it goes into the griller for 5 minutes, and that's it. It's really that simple, and all you're doing for that grilling function is just toasting up the bacon. Okay, I can't see that anybody is in the chat. Can you guys still hear me? I hope that you can. So with meal 1 as well, I will. Oh, there's comments on the YouTube that people are bringing across. Oh, thank you. I've just got some broccoli in there, and so that's meal 1. Let me show you meal 2. Meal 2, we are going to do as a bolognese. Now, you might think I'm a bit crazy going, bolognese, we can all make it ourselves. Yeah, we can, but just turn this on. Put that there. A little bit of butter. I use a lot of butter in my cooking. I buy a really good grass-fed butter. Yep, you can hear us, but chat seem to have gone. Okay. As long as you guys can hear and see me as well. Gosh, it's always a bit scary doing these things for the first time. Hopefully you're getting a lot out of it. To make the next meal, you're just melting some butter. And then what I have chopped up is, Bronwyn, the chat, I can see you. And Louise, yep, can hear you, but it seems like chat isn't working. Cool. Okay, great. Jackie, thank you so much. It's so nice to see that there is someone here. So thank you for coming across and chatting. I've just chopped up an onion and there's some garlic in underneath here as well. You can see I've got a whole heap of little bits of veg cut up. Now, this is kind of a trick, and it's definitely stuff in this 4-week meal plan that I will constantly be telling you to do, and even now I'm telling you to do, is look at your veggies that you're making. And if there's stuff that like you're disregarding, i.e. if you don't eat the whole stalk of the broccoli, chop it up. And you can be putting that through things like bolognese where the kids aren't going to notice it as much. I've also got in here little stalks like this because we're going to eat the spaghetti tonight with zucchini noodles. This is the seeds that come out of the spiralizer when we're making the spaghetti noodles. I'm not going to waste that, you know, that's good money. So I just chop it up. And all you want to do here, not throw everything on the floor, is just brown it off. Just turn that down. And how do you use up this meat the next night? Well, just like this, you're just basically crumpling it up. You will find that as it's warm, and mine is pretty warm, but it's not that I can't touch it, spots, that you can actually crumple it up, okay? Just here. And to be honest, I'm looking at this, I actually don't need to use the full third for this meal, if this was enough for us four. Reason being is that when we're eating this way, we don't want to just fill up on meat. You know, I'm all about showing you guys vegetables and ways that you can get in variety of food and different foods to your kids. So what I'm going to do is I'm just opening a tin of lentils. Just like this. And that's going to go in with a thing of passata. Okay. And some passata in there. Passata, all that is pureed tomatoes, if you haven't seen it before. I love using passata because I love these bottles, and 3/4 of my pantry is made up with these bottles. I store flour in them, nuts, seeds, legumes, everything. And then I also use these bottles for storing broth as well. So I love it. I think that's a really great way to shop, is that when you look, I need to buy something, what can I buy that I'll be able to reuse it again? Because you can't, right? It's done. And we all know that it's not ideal. Sometimes the cans, they've got chemicals in the plastic lining that can leach into the food. It's actually BPA, which is all the stuff that we were petrified of and found out a lot about with the babies' plastic toys. So this is how it's coming on here. I'm just going to show you guys a bit closer because it's not ideal in mum and dad's kitchen, that on the side. But you can see it's really chunky. And if your kids, say, won't want to eat the lentils, I would do it this way. I would put it, I would make up the lentils. Why isn't that big string? I'd make up the lentils straight away with the tomato. Let me just make sure it's not in the base of that. No. With the tomatoes on the base, and I would then whiz it in the blender. You'll get rid of the lentils, but you'll keep them there. Might be a great recipe for my large family. Certainly won't feed us more than one meal, but still going to be great. Janet, be conscious of how much meat everyone is having. Now, if you're a family of 6, 7, then I get it. But that is 2 pieces this big because I've patted it out with lentils, and I've platted it out with vegetables. And I've only put in a little bit of veg. If I was making this up for my family tonight, to be really honest, I would get out the grater again and I'd grate through a carrot. And I'd probably grate through a zucchini as well. And yeah, just like that. The last trick that you want to pop in is some balsamic vinegar. You'll just find that that will sweeten it up. That's definitely my secret trick that I use for tomato dishes, because it's really nice and sweet. And then to serve it, you want to serve it with, just move this out of the way. Just excuse me 1 second, I just cut my finger, I'm real, and I just want to put a Band-Aid on. Here we go. It's always the way. I was like, do I open that lentil tin before? And I didn't. So, lesson learned, open the lentil tin before you're live to 300 people. How good is that looking? That is bubbling away, and that's done. Now to serve it, I'm going to grab it on a plate because it's easier so you guys can see it. I'm going to serve it with zucchini noodles. Did you put any spice in that, or just what you were using in the meatloaf? Just wanted to make sure you weren't missing anything. Hi, Bron. I'm so happy to help. Dylan, what I popped in was some garlic and some onion as a base, and then I've just put in passata. What is going to flavour it is the balsamic vinegar. Will sweeten it. But as you said, there's so much flavour in that meatloaf, that's enough. But the great thing is I can taste that along the way, and I can go, well, that is incredible. I think just as is, but you could absolutely put in, say, some more thyme would be a really good one to do. I probably wouldn't do, no, actually I wouldn't. I'd put in Italian herbs, that would work as well. But you bought some thyme for the meatloaf, so save yourself going to the shop again and use it up. And have it with some zucchini noodles. So this is a spiralizer, and I live by this spiralizer. I'm amazed, my kids, and you heard me talking about them before, they're kind of fuss little pots, but they will eat this. What I would do, guys, though, if you're a bit wary of, will they eat it, is I just would peel it first, and then you can get them on board with it because they won't see the green on the side of it. But the great thing is it actually goes really crunchy. This is just like a giant pencil sharpener. Through the middle is the seeds are going, and then out the side comes the really crunchy noodles. You can use this same spiralizer for carrots as well. I will do it often with carrots. You can get one of those fancy ones with the handles like that. I don't have one of those because I don't have the space. But I can absolutely see the benefit of them, and a lot of paleo folks and people that are wanting to cut back on the amount of pasta that they're eating eat this way. So that's the second meal. What we did, just to recap, we just kept aside a third of the meatloaf. Now, to be honest, I only used 2/3 of that for this huge dish. And then I stirred through, we browned off some onion and some garlic first, stirred through the crumbled up meatloaf, and then a tin of lentils. I love using lentils because A, they're cheap, B, they're fantastic for us. I love lentils because they're the food for all of our good bugs in our belly. So if you're popping probiotics and having kombucha and all of that great stuff, you've got to have food for them so that they'll stick around once you're having them. And things like lentils, garlic, and onion are all brilliant for it. So consider this like an immunity boost because it really is. And then I've had it with zucchini noodles. I did it with zucchini noodles because they're quick. I want to get extra veg into the kids. But you could absolutely do it with pasta. And you could choose which kind of pasta you want to use, spaghetti, any of those. But if you look at this meal, like that's literally cooked in the time it would take to cook pasta. So meal 2. Meal 1 is potatoes and all the veg, which I might just put that on the plate too, just so you guys can see it in the flesh of how it looks. With this meatloaf, it's so easy to serve huge, big chunks of it. You know, like, I would probably say that that's enough for me. Keep thinking about that old rule, and I still live by it, that the size of your palm is the size of meat that you should be having. So for me, like a third of that would do a family of 4 to 6. It would definitely do that if your kids are little, like mine. And I've got some potatoes. I'm just going to grab the peas. The peas, I think I mentioned before, I literally just stir them when this is piping hot, and that's obviously not now, but the peas will cook straight in there. So don't waste your time heating up water and stirring it through. It's literally just like that. And on it goes, pardon my fingers, to the plate. So that's one, but I would have more veg on there, but that's enough to show you guys for now. And then the third one, oh, I'm so excited about this one, is having it as a pizza. The great thing about having it as a pizza is it's quick. I am using just some flatbreads because often we have these wraps. I tried desperately to get the mountain bread. I really like those because there's no preservatives in them, and they keep, like, I can keep them for like a week or so. But I have all of this recipe in the first week of the meal plan, so you guys are getting a little sneak peek at what's coming. And I actually ask you guys to make this with a cauliflower pizza base, because I'm all about getting as much veg in as we can and doing it in a way that when kids are a little bit fussy, that it still looks like, you know, what the food is. So to make up the pizza, you can also make your own pizza base as well. I have a few health coaching clients that make up pizza bases now in like 10 at a time and put them in the freezer. To be honest, I have a really great shop near me in Sydney called About Life, and they're forever doing their pizza bases at half price. They're all organic, no preservatives in them, and they have a really great gluten-free one. So whenever they're on sale, I do just that. I buy about 10 and I put them in the freezer, so that nights like this, I go, okay, I've got some meatloaf, or I've got a little bit of pulled pork left, or I've even got a bit of bolognese. You know, I could turn this into a quesadilla. All of these things are just really great to have on hand, so that when you're cooking one meal, you can go, how can I tweak that for something else? Again, I'm going to use a bit more of the meatloaf that we've got left over. You mightn't use that full third that you chopped it into originally. The great thing is then you can be using it for breakfast. I regularly eat this meatloaf, and I reckon I've made it 20 times, with a runny egg on top and avocado on the side. It keeps me going till like 1 o'clock when, you know, I've got a chance to breathe with looking after the kids. So don't be afraid that if there is some left over, to think of how to use it. My husband will take this to work with him, and he loves putting it on a sandwich. He's like, a meatloaf sandwich is awesome. A few mamas that have made this in my testing group for the 4-week meal plan, they all loved it. Every single one of them said, I'm going to make this like again and again. It's a new family favourite, so that's great. But they were all having it for lunch the next day with loads of greens and just eating it as a salad. So I'm going to keep going with the pizza. I've just crumbled it up. You don't want to go too heavy with the topping of it. You can see here, guys, actually I'll lift it up here. you know, there's a bit on there, but not too much because you want it to go crispy. And then, like everything Stace does, there's greens on it. I would too, I'd probably grate some carrot, but trying to just keep in mind, don't overdo it because you want to keep the base nice and crispy because all it is a flatbread, and it would just, you know, fall over if not. And then some cheese on top. How good is this? Like, your kids could help with this stuff, right? Like, that's so easy. You come home and you grab your meatloaf out of the fridge, you grab these like little pizza bases, and you're good to go. You're going to be eating in 10 minutes. I would still put vegetables on the side. The reason why I'm telling you, number one, to put veggies on the side is that those times that we, you know, buy takeaway pizza, and no judgment here, you want to make a salad and you want the kids to know that no matter where the pizza comes from, whether mama made it or it comes from a shop or we're eating at a restaurant, we eat it with salad, because then you are teaching them that there's always vegetables on the side, and the vegetables are part of every meal. And I just think that that is an incredibly important thing to be doing with kids constantly. Mine ask for it now because they're so used to seeing the veggies on the side. They ask, like, what are we having? What veggies are you cooking tonight, mama? Because they're probably preparing me for, you know, sometimes there's a fight and sometimes it's going to be easier. But with this, I would just do some extra baby spinach on the side. And in my 4-week meal plan, I have a little nut recipe that I show you guys how to make, which is basically just on the cooktop, just cooking off some maple syrup and some olive oil with some paprika, again, the smoked paprika, and just tossing that through so they go all caramelized and delicious, and putting them on top of the salad. I find that's a really easy one to get in salad for the kids because they want to eat the nuts that taste like maple syrup. And again, no judgment, you know, like, it's all baby steps. Ideally, you want to get to a spot where you're not putting much maple syrup on them, if any at all. But when we're trying to get our family to eat this way and to eat this way regularly, there's no fear in, you know, cooking real food that you know what it is. Like maple syrup, I cook with that all the time because I can choose how much goes into a meal. And I know that there's no numbers in it and there's no preservatives, and it's, you know, delicious, and my kids are going to eat it. So there it is, guys. This is the 3 different meals from your meatloaf. The first one, we're having how hubby, I'm sure, would love it, with mashed potatoes with lots of peas through it, and then a whole heap of steamed veg. When you're steaming your veg and you're about to serve it, put a little bit of butter on it, or put a little bit of olive oil as well. You will find, this is starting to drip, so it's going to go to the side, that that's a really nice, not only is it nice, it brings out the flavour of the food, but it's actually brilliant, the fats for our digestion with it, and that's just, you know, really great. Do you happen to know the carb count for the meatloaf? I have a diabetic. I don't, darling. But all those ingredients are on that first email. You could probably put them in and see that. Saying the carb count as well, I don't know enough about diabetes, and apologies if I'm saying something so wrong, Bronwyn, but you could do it with nuts instead of the quinoa flakes that I've used, just thinking through that would be a higher carbohydrate, would be the quinoa or a breadcrumb, so you might be able to tweak it that way. So that's meal 1. Meal 2, you're making it into bolognese with lots of lentils to pad it out. So if you feel like the first night, you know, you guys need to have more than a third of it to fill up your gang, that's fine, do it. Because you can use extra lentils, and maybe you end up using 2 tins of lentils. Don't sweat it, it'll be great. Put through some extra veg, taste it as you go along, and try and bring the kids on board of having it with some zucchini noodles. I would often recommend too that maybe you do it like half and half initially, you know, like there's zucchini noodles and normal noodles, like, yeah. And then you've got it as your pizza, so that goes in the oven. About now, guys, your 30 minutes is probably up. I'm just going to check mine how it's looking. It's going to need another 5 minutes, which is probably really good because I can tell you guys about the 4-week meal plan that I have, that this recipe is from. This way that I like to cook is something that I really, really want to help you guys practically with. You know, I thought through it and went, it could be another blog post or it could be, you know, multiple webinars, but the best way that I think I can help you guys cook like this is to have you do it in your own home and have you do it every week for a period of time. So that's why I designed my 4-week meal plan. And in the first week, you're going to cook like this. And then later on, you'll actually be cooking, you know, a meal that will last 2 or 3 nights. Like we're going to cook a dal, we're going to cook a fish meal that will last 2 nights. One that the guys really loved that tested out every single recipe for me is we made these chicken strips that were so delicious. You basically coat some chicken tenderloins in some honey and then roll them in either breadcrumbs or quinoa flakes, you know, all of this stuff that you're buying, you'll reuse week after week. And they had it that way. And then the next night, they actually made it into a really yummy pasta dish. This is the 2 pasta dishes, they're the only 2, but it's kind of nice to have the meals in the meal plan, stuff that's familiar, you know, because it's a lot easier to get everybody on board. I'm going to put up in the chat now the link for you guys to go over and join it. You have to do that really, really soon because it actually starts on Monday of next week. I start emailing out the recipes from tomorrow morning. So if you guys really want to get organized, you know, and do this properly, it'd be great if you actually registered tonight so that I can send you on the meal, the shopping list and the meal plan for next week so that you have time over the weekend to get organized. I had some questions today, and guys, please put them in the chat if there is questions on the meal plan. But I've got 1, 2, 3, I got 5 on an email today from other mums that said they wouldn't be able to make tonight. They're going to watch me on the replay, so hi. But they did want to know a little bit more about it to see whether it was for them. And Bree asked, what type of meals would we be cooking? This is the type of meals that we would be cooking. Quick stuff like this that is really family friendly and is all about trying to get in great nutritious food for everybody. Because I know that fussy eaters will eat this and non-fussy eaters, mums will put more veg on, you know, and serve more veg on the side of their pizzas. So it kind of, yeah, it kind of already does that. But then there's going to be other food as well. What I really want to help you guys with is getting fish into your diet and getting veggies into your diet as standalone meals. Because so often we're like, oh, we should eat more fish meals. And again, it kind of goes back to that whole thing of I could keep telling you guys this, or you could keep reading people's blogs and all of this stuff, but until you actually practically do it and have someone help you, you know, there's no harm in saying, I want Stace to kickstart me for 4 weeks. I wanted to get me organized. I wanted to get me motivated, and then I'll do it on my own afterwards. And that's kind of what eating this way will do, because you'll get some meat meals and then you'll get some vegetarian meals, and you'll also get some fish meals. So you'll find anywhere between 2 and 3 meals of the week are actually fish or vegetarian solid meals. It was really great. In the group, I had 10 mums that have tried every single recipe, have watched every single video, have done the whole course to make sure that it's perfect for you guys. There was quite a few of them that just said, oh, my kids don't eat fish, you know, but I'll try it because I'm feeling motivated, Stace, and I'm getting wins with things like the meatloaf, and my kids are eating more veggies, so I'm feeling invigorated and I'm going to give it a go. They said, yep, I'll give it, I will try it. And every single one of them said their kids have eaten it. We've got things like sticky salmon. I've got really quick fish and chips, and getting you to make wedges in the oven, so that, you know, you're just buying so much fruit and veg, more than stuff in the middle of the supermarket, and you're eating that way that you kind of want to eat, but you've got someone, you know, guiding you there. The next one, Tennille asked, she said, I'm vegetarian, but the family isn't. So am I going to have to be cooking lots of different stuff? Tennille, not really. You'll probably find that you can do a lot of things on the side. And I give you recipes for them. So for tonight, if you're cooking a meatloaf, I'm going to give you a recipe link for where you can find a really great vegetarian meatloaf, which I actually make all the time, which is with lentils and with nuts and beautiful veggies. You'll make that at the same time, because then you can tweak it into your own lasagna, and then you can tweak it into your own pizza. Or you might choose to just read my other tips that I have on each of the recipes that you'll get. Is, you know, make a lentil pasta. You know, if there's not much meatloaf left, but you still want to keep on the train, then you make a lentil one. And with the pizzas, then you make them all vegetarian. Like, this stuff will become easy for you, and you'll find that I am there so much. We have a private Facebook group, and I'm going to be in it constantly, asking you how you're going. I'm going to be in your email, giving you some videos and some tips as well, because I just know myself that when I've got that support, I actually can make a change. But when I have to do it myself, it's just 10 times harder. So that's why I'm here, and I would love you to join. Roz says, when do I get the meals and how long do I have to get organized? I love it. You will get the meals on a Thursday morning. You'll get a shopping list that's segmented by the different areas in the supermarket / if you're like me and you go to a few different shops, like I go to my butcher, and I go to my fruit and veg shop, and then I go to a supermarket to sort of supplement the rest. So it is broken into all of those areas. You get all your recipes and you get a meal plan that you can basically print out or send to your husband as well, so that he knows what's going on. We start each meal on meal plan on the Monday. So there might be stuff that you read over it and you say, heck, you know, the kids are at sport on the weekend, I want to start, you know, doing something. You can make the meatloaf. And then you've just chopped off, you know, having to cook for 3 nights, which is great. Jean sent me an email today and said that they're mostly gluten-free. Would this meal plan work? Yes. Yes, it would. You can see tonight, you know, you choose what kind of pizza base that you want to cook it with. I eat a predominantly gluten-free and dairy-free, and then I've got kids and my husband that don't eat eggs. So all of this is sort of catered for, and there is really, really clear instructions about how to, you know, cater for those things as well. And then the last one, Emma says, how many people does a meal plan cover? Anywhere between 4 and 6 people, the meal plan will. The reason I wrote it that way is because if you've got others in your family, less people in your family, then you can just use food for leftovers or things like this meatloaf. I've always got this in the freezer because I can pull it out, I can have it for brekkie, I can have it for lunch, I can make it into dinner, one of these ways that you learn to do and you're like, okay, actually I've still got some of that meatloaf in there and, you know, I can make it into that recipe that I tried with Stace in the meal plan. So yeah, they're the questions. I'm just gonna check if there's any others. Guys, is there any questions you wanted to ask me? It's $79 for 4 weeks. You will get from me all of that stuff. You'll also get in the post a meal plan template that you'll be able to use forever. It's a little whiteboard one. I'm so excited about it. And access to me. I'm a health and nutrition coach. I work with nearly 100 mums I've worked with one-on-one. And I know what it takes to get you guys motivated and to help you make changes for life. And that is what you'll get from me for 4 weeks. All right, that's enough of the sell. I want to show you how it looks because yours has probably gone ding, ding, ding. I want to show you how it looks. You grab a tray. And then next, here it is. You can see it's done because it's got a beautiful color on top. And when you're pushing it, it's not stringing back. Great. Oh, Melissa, I'm so glad that you've signed up. Yay! I hope there's a bunch of you mamas that are signing up now. And I'm just going to flip this over. I just put on top the baking tray, and then you just want to flip it. Just like that. Pull it off, and then put that over there. You've got that ready to go into your oven. Now, you might find that there was a fair bit of juice, and if you did, before you flipped it, you just drain it off. But I'm going to drain this off now because I want that for my mashed potato like I did at the start. That's the liquid for it. But you also, too, say you weren't going to have it with mashed potato, you wanted to have it with rice or something else that you would rather have, you can actually use that juice just to drizzle over the top of it in case it's gone dry. Into the oven on the grill function for another 5 minutes. And there, guys, I'm just going to pull back up that one of how it looks now. So the great thing when you're doing the grill is that you're basically just crisping it all up. And can you imagine serving that up to your husband? Like, they're going to love it. And even if you've got, you know, kids, which kids don't love bacon? There's not many. You know, they're going to eat that off the top as well. So that's it. I would love for you guys to join my 4-week meal plan, which is where these recipes are from. We start next Monday, but the recipes go out from tomorrow morning. So you really don't have too much time. I will send you an email with all of this, the replay link on it, so that you can try it again. But start, you know, cook this way, guys. This is such a great way to get really good food into your kids really, really easy. Okay, I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely night and that you really enjoy this meatloaf. It's so good. It's so good. Okay. Hope to see you on my meal plan. Bye, guys.